Yo, what's up? My name is Patrouski, and welcome to a pretty casual, pretty quick ramble video talking about what makes a good storyline Pokemon in PokeMMO. A lot of beginners, veterans, mid-tier players, no matter what type of player you are, you ask yourself this question because you want to play the storylines fun yet efficiently, right? And you want to pick a Pokemon that you enjoy yet is really good at dealing with the storyline. So you might want to pick something kind of original or check which Pokemon you enjoy if it's actually good enough for the storyline. And I also get questions a ton about Pokemon like Swellow and Raticate. I have to talk about these a lot, and I have to sort of tell people, hey, they're not that good, unfortunately, in Pokemon. They're not bad, they're not terrible, they're great for Nuzlocke even, but they're not great, in my opinion. So let's go ahead and talk about it. First things first, the one thing we'll kind of segue into, which is perfect for Raticate and Swellow, don't sacrifice bulk. In PokeMMO, when you have access to the GTL, when you have access to 5 generations of Pokemon, there's just no reason to sacrifice bulk and have to deal with a fragile Pokemon to take care of the storyline. Swellow and Raticate both have tons of speed and tons of damage. I'm aware that Guts plus Stab Facade and even Stab Brave Bird or Aerial Ace can be super strong. The issue is, well, there's two issues with Swellow. Swellow is extremely frail, which really hurts it, and secondly, you don't need this much speed. This speed becomes really redundant, and that actually moves into my second point. 80 speed is all you need. 80 speed is all you need. That's the slogan. With 80 speed, you're pretty much outspeeding most of the Pokemon in PokeMMO. The opponent's Pokemon aren't going to be EV trained, so if you put some speed EVs in your Pokemon just while doing the storyline casually, you're going to outspeed most things. As well as most Pokemon just get outsped at 80 speed. It's that simple, right? 80 speed is kind of what I look for. If you have a plus speed nature, you're also going to be super safe, which is super nice. And once you reach too much speed, you just start reaching redundancy. It's also nice to have like a speed setup move or having X speeds. Something like a Gyarados with Dragon Dance is why 81 speed is like super good on him. And you quickly come to a redundancy issue. You want stats like Gyarados. Gyarados is a Pokemon with really solid bulk and more attack than it has speed. You need damage much more than speed. Damage becomes a redundancy much later than speed does, right? What I mean by redundancy, if it's not clear, something like Swellow, when it outspeeds a Pokemon at 125 speed, if a Pokemon has 60 speed and Swellow has 125 speed, it outspeeds it. If a Pokemon has 100 base stat speed and Swellow has 125, it outspeeds it. As long as that speed is below that, it's going to outspeed it, right? So anything above that, all the stats between 60 base stat speed and 125 are just useless throughout the storyline. Now, in PvP, speed becomes redundant pretty much never, which is why things like Regieleki or Electrode screens or like stuff like that is like really powerful. Speed almost never becomes redundant because people are always trying to be faster and faster. In the storylines, the NPCs have a set speed. So 80 speed is all you need. Don't sacrifice bulk, and then be able to deal with Focus Sash / Sturdy Pokemon. There are so many Focus Sash and Sturdy Pokemon in PokeMMO, it's kind of insane. Having things like Cloyster with Icicle Crash, or just Pokemon with maybe Mold Breaker to get through Sturdy, stuff like that can be really powerful. Or Stealth Rocks, and that brings us into that. Setting up Stealth Rocks can actually be really good in the PokeMMO storyline, which sounds really slow and lame and kind of not very powerful in most mainline Pokemon games, but in PokeMMO, Stealth Rocks are actually really good, especially against the Elite Four. One of the #1 pieces of advice I give to people who are stuck at the Kanto Elite Four or any Elite Four, head over to Victory Road, go get yourself an Onix with Sturdy and Stealth Rock. It could be level 1. It does not matter what level it is. It doesn't matter on its stats. It doesn't really matter. You just want a level 1 or any sort of Onix with Stealth Rock and Sturdy. The reason being, Onix is going to be able to live that first attack, set up Stealth Rock, and then once you defeat that trainer, you'll get healed up against the Elite Four, and you'll have him for the next trainer. After you defeat each Elite Four member, you get healed in PokeMMO, which is also super important, and that makes Stealth Rock much better. It's also important to note that Stealth Rock is obviously a type thing. It hits Pokemon differently. So if you picked Venusaur in the Kanto storyline and your rival has Charizard, Charizard's taking 50% HP. on the switch in into Stealth Rocks, which is pretty significant. Yanmega is also a Pokemon that takes a ton of damage from Stealth Rocks and is in one of the Elite Fours. I think it might be the Hoenn one. I kind of forget off the top of my head, but there's tons of Pokemon that have that 4 times weakness to Rock within the Elite Fours in PokeMMO, as well as just tons of flying and dragon types. For example, Dragonite takes 25% on the switch in into Stealth Rocks, and it also breaks multi-scale on Dragonite, which is so important. Multi-scale, if you don't know, is Dragonite's hidden ability, which essentially allows it to take significantly less damage. I think it's like 50% or something. It's something insane. It's something reduces damage when HP is full. When Dragonite's at full HP, it makes it take like 50% less damage or something on the first attack. But Stealth Rock chips it under that and gets rid of it multi-scale, which is super, super powerful. Stealth Rock also breaks all those Focus Sashes and Sturdy Pokemon we actually just talked about, so it's also really good for that. So far we've covered 80 speed is all you need, don't sacrifice bulk, be able to deal with Focus Sash / Sturdy, and then setting up Stealth Rocks can be really good. Next up, we've touched on a little bit is setup moves. Setup moves are super, super powerful in PokeMMO. Whether you're rocking a Gyarados with Dragon Dance, which I super recommend, a Scrafty with Dragon Dance or Bulk Up can be really, really good, or a Blossom with Quiver Dance. Quiver Dance is super good, but most Pokemon that get it end up evolving too late to actually be good in the storyline. Blossom is super, super good. Another thing to note, there's so many things to talk about with storyline Pokemon. Another thing to note is at what level do you get that most powerful Pokemon? So for example, you get Blossom at level 21. You can literally do that after the first gym badge, which is really, really important. The reason why things like Salamence, Tyranitar, Metagross, Volcarona, these Pokemon aren't good storyline Pokemon, even though they're uber powerful and considered pseudo-legendaries, because you don't get them until either when you're at the Elite Four or if you've already completed the Elite Four. You can't use a Salamence until level 50, which is usually at least at the Elite Four. And its pre-evolutions in Sheldon and Bagon are really bad in comparison to Salamence, unfortunately. So that covers a huge issue there as well. The reason things like Crocodile work in the storyline, even though you don't get Crocodile until kind of late at level 40, that's pushing it. Krokorok still ends up being really good. Even Sandile, its stats aren't the best, but it's usable, and it still has those really good abilities in Moxie and Intimidate, which is super relevant. Now, setup moves, super important. Stealth Rocks, be able to break Focus Sash / Sturdy, what level you get the most powerful version of the Pokemon, don't sacrifice bulk, 80 speed is all you need. And then the last thing, sounds kind of insane, but trust me on this one, typing coverage just generally doesn't matter. In my opinion, you don't really, really need to worry about, oh, next up is the Fire Gym, I need to make sure I have a Water type Pokemon on my team. Obviously, it's Pokemon, it's rock, paper, scissors. To some extent, you do need to worry about that, but it's not as important as you may think. When you're thinking about, oh, what Pokemon do I need on my team? You don't need to think about like, oh, I need a water type, I need a fire type, I need an electric type. It's just not that crazy. With a Gyarados, you can pretty much sweep every type. It doesn't matter. Like Gyarados is so powerful that it's going to be able to sweep every single type of gym, except for maybe an electric type gym. And then even then, because it has that 4 times weakness, even then, you're probably going to do fine. Don't worry about typing too much. It does matter, but most of the time, due to there being 5 generations, due to the power creep, due to the access to the GTL, you're going to be able to overpower with raw brute force, and that's going to be more important than using the correct Pokemon like Moxie, Crocodile, Gyarados. I have tons of videos on what are the best Pokemon, what are the correct Pokemon to pick. Overpowering with correct Pokemon is going to be more valuable than actually selecting Pokemon that have type coverages for your team. Now, obviously, getting coverage moves for those powerful Pokemon is still really important. You want Crunch on Crocodile, Crunch Earthquake. You want maybe an Ice Fang or a Power Whip or Earthquake on Gyarados if you can afford it. Coverage on those powerful Pokemon is still important, but don't pick Pokemon or weaker Pokemon just for coverage. That pretty much wraps things up. Just a pretty passionate, quick ramble. Hopefully that helps. Hopefully this gave you guys some information or some background, mildly entertaining content while you yourself are grinding PokeMMO. If you enjoyed today's video, make sure to leave a like on it. Dislike if you didn't enjoy this style of video. Feel free to subscribe to the channel for daily PokeMMO videos. Follow the Twitch for streams Monday through Thursday at 12 p.m. ET. And if you want to go above and beyond and support the channel, YouTube memberships, Twitch Prime, Twitch subs, and PayPal/Venmo help out a ton and keep me full time. I appreciate you guys watching. Have a great day, and thank you for your time.